According to Norse mythology and my drunk Swedish father, there exists a colossal and monstrous serpent. This serpent has its coils spread around the world and the world tree. It will also battle the mighty Thor to the death. He said that the world serpent is no myth. It actually exists, and he has proof. Understandably, when I heard this, I chalked it up to my dad having a little too much to drink. But then he pulled out the pictures. What I saw was nothing short of mystifying, and it made me feel incredibly small in the universe. I saw the body of a serpent that was easily dozens of feet wide and tall, spreading endlessly through a vast frozen cavern. When I asked my dad how he was even able to get such photos, or if they were real, he went silent for a minute. He then explained that it was an old friend of his, now passed away, who took them. Shortly after taking these photos and presenting them to my dad a few decades ago, his friend fell ill. It was just a fever at first, but then deafness followed, then blindness, and eventually paralysis, all in the span of 48 hours. His flesh became necrotic and dripped off his body in chunks an hour or two before his death. My father called it the Curse of Jormungandr. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object SCP-722. SCP-722, also known as Jormungandr, is an enormous serpentine entity found frozen in a glacial cavern in Greenland. Hypothesized by Foundation researchers to have been sleeping since even before the 11th century, this monstrous serpent is estimated to be 8 miles long with a muscular body. However, who built the tunnels within this cavern wherein 722 sleeps? The Foundation does not know. What is known is that some portions of 722's head and tail are covered in an ancient Nordic script. Although it is partially buried and encased in glacial ice, not to mention being in deep slumber, the Foundation remains cautious. Should 722 awaken, the Foundation fears it will threaten all of humanity due to its sheer size. It is reported that people who discovered 722 quickly fell ill and died, all from being in close proximity of 722 and not necessarily touching it. If its very existence is a poison, the Foundation shudders at what else it is capable of. The following recording provides a short glimpse into what havoc may come should 722 awaken. My name is Cole, and I'm an archivist for the Foundation. Today, I am given the opportunity to report on the automatic defensive capabilities of the serpentine entity 722. First and foremost, the toxin is yet to be identified, unsurprisingly. When a person comes in contact with the poison dripping from its body or the gas it emits, they will fall ill almost instantaneously. Once the poison has entered a person's system, they are as good as dead. One can forget about an antidote, as all attempts at creating one have failed. Further testing is required as the panacea pills have yet to be administered to infected individuals. However, doing so in addition to normal testing of the poison prove extremely difficult. The poison is observed to disintegrate and becomes completely harmless after being removed from the cave. This means all testing must be conducted near the body of 722, putting everyone involved at risk of death. Some say that the poison is not for defensive purposes at all. Instead, it is to be used in combat against the god of thunder. At least, that's how the myth goes. Also, it should be noted that the poisonous gas 722 emits is not as deadly as the liquid its body secretes. Still dangerous regardless. Explorations into the glacial cavern are forbidden, except in the case of maintenance. This is due to an incident where 722 has shown an increase in brain activity. Frightened by this, the Brigadier General of Site-103 has declared that anyone seen entering or leaving 722's cavern will be shot on sight. No questions asked, regardless of their standing in the Foundation. I do not think he was kidding, as I've heard several gunshots in the middle of the night once. On my last day, I had the pleasure of witnessing 05-1 in action as he discussed with the site director and several researchers about what to do with 722 should it awaken. Obviously, the first measure to be taken would be to evacuate Site-103 and all nearby towns and cities. Researchers also believe that due to 722's sheer size and its tough hide, any attempts to damage it using conventional weaponry would be useless. Our only chance would be to have several thaumaturgical cannons on Site-103 to try and kill it, and pray to God it works. Should this fail, Site Director L has proposed getting SCP-190-DE to help in containing or even slaying 722. If the Nordic stories are true, then he might be our only chance. 190? Ugh, Thorsten Nordman? Love the guy, but he should not be counted on. Hasn't Thorsten declared himself the protector of Midgard? Surely, if we called on him to help with 722, he would answer. You would think so, wouldn't you? Ask yourself this. Where was Thorsten when the Kaiju wreaked havoc on the world? Where was Thorsten when SCP-6004 slaughtered millions? Thorsten is incredibly powerful. This is true without a doubt. While he possesses power beyond imagination, he is incredibly out of practice when it comes to fighting. Moreover, we have him on phone records where we think he told his father, Odin, that he refused to fight the snake. As difficult as this may be to hear, Thorsten is a non-factor. Always has been, and most likely always will be. Site Director L fell silent as he realized he was unable to refute what his superior had said. But do not fret. We already have something in the works. Ever since the incident with 6004 and the Kaiju, we have been working on an armor dubbed Mjolnir Type 3. It is an advanced combat exoskeleton that fully seals around the wearer. It filters out all toxins and comes equipped with miniature thaumaturgical weapons. It also makes the user stronger and faster to the point that they become a god relative to humanity. Gentlemen, who would like to sign up and become a real protector of Midgard? No experience needed. Mjolnir has automatic defensive capabilities. Fair warning though, you'll be fighting entities on the level of gods. It was then that I raised my hand. I was accepted without question by the council. And while I have yet to begin testing with the Mjolnir armor, I could feel that the Foundation has gotten one step closer to securing, containing, and protecting our fragile little world with what it promised. Or so it would seem. Just then, my father burst through the door. No! The Mjolnir plan, or whatever you have in mind, must not proceed. The Jormungandr must not be disturbed. Father? What on earth are you doing here? Who is this man? And how did he get in here? Security! You must not touch the world, Serpent. Otherwise, a great apocalypse will befall us. What are you doing? Let me go! As he struggled to fight off the guard's hold, 051 walked forward and calmly dismissed them. What are you saying? What apocalypse? My father sat down to catch his breath. He handed me a couple slides and told me to put it under the projector. The first image showed a comparison between the frozen 722 and what looked like an ancient symbol, which looked eerily like 722. Jormungandr, the world serpent, must remain as it is. You see, the way it's grasping its tail? That's the Ouroboros, the seal that keeps the world's balance together. It must not be broken. I turned to the next image, which sent the room into murmurs. It was a series of paintings as well as carved ancient runes and scripts which corresponded to the ones on 722. The paintings depicted 722 now having released its tail from its grasp, engaging in battle against a few human figures. That's Ragnarok, or part of it. What you're seeing here is a fierce battle between two mortal enemies, Jormungandr and Thor, or Thorsten Nordman, as you call him. Wait a minute, you mean it happened before? Eons ago, Jormungandr released its tail and caused violent unrest. The serpent thrashed onto land and flooded it. It advanced and sprayed poison, filling the air and water. It confronted the gods, and Thor stepped forward to fight it. They fought a bloody battle that lasted days and nights. Ultimately, Thor was able to fend off Jormungandr and brought back Ouroboros, the balance of the world. But we still detect signs of life from this Jormungandr. And if Thor could defeat it back then, surely he can do it again, and more easily this time with our gear. He won only because of the help from other gods. Why do you think Thor didn't help fend off 6004? The poison of Jormungandr wounded Thor deeply. It almost killed him if it wasn't for Yr's healing powers. Even then, the poison had severely crippled him. Another battle with an entity of such caliber would mean certain death. The room fell silent. 05-1 let out a sigh and walked out without saying anything. Site Director L only patted me on my shoulder and followed 05-1. Soon, everyone left the room. Only me and my father remained. I looked at the image and shuddered. If the gods had this much trouble to contain that thing, what chance do we even have? I guess the glacier is the only thing standing between the continuation and end of civilization. 10 years ago, in 1997, the Andes were shaken apart as a great entity stirred underneath. Magma burst up and flowed through towns and cities. Buildings crumbled from the intense tremors. Many lives were lost. 10 years later, the Earth cracked open, allowing humanity to catch a glimpse of a titan that lives beneath the crust of the planet, the Earth Serpent. A base was set up around the cracked Earth. Dr. Vasquez stood, staring down at the Serpent. Any updates? Sir, its life signs are stable, but that's pretty much all we got right now. It could wake up at any time, and there's no telling what kind of damage it will do when it does. As Dr. Vasquez observed the Serpent, he couldn't help but feel that there was something more going on. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Esoteric Class Object SCP-4568. SCP-4568, also known as Dilemma of the Twin Serpents, consists of two massive serpentine entities. SCP-4568-1 is a massive subterranean serpentine entity that resides below the Andean Mountain range in South America. Current estimates indicate a length of at least 300 miles and a width of around 12 miles. The entity is animate and autonomous. It is composed of molten rock, highly compressed sediments, various metals, and ice. Sonar analysis have revealed the existence of artificial structures resembling clockwork, gears, and primitive circuits along the serpent's entire body. However, no studies have been able to determine a purpose to these structures, and they do not seem to be the mechanism behind 4568-1's autonomous movement. 4568-1 mostly remains dormant. However, at certain times, the entity displaces itself along the Andean Mountain range. Due to its gargantuan size, this usually results in large-scale seismic activity of a magnitude proportional to the degree of displacement. These movements are in response to 4568-2 exiting dormancy, and the seismic activity is intentionally caused by 4568-1 in order to incapacitate 4568-2. Due to the significant casualties caused by SCP-4568-1, the entity was at first presumed to be hostile. 4568-1 is sapient, with above-human intelligence and very high memetic resistance. While not actively hostile, it is aware of the casualties resulting from its seismic activity and considers them a regrettable necessity to restrain 4568-2. SCP-4568-2 is a marine, sapient, serpentine entity of comparable size to SCP-4568-1. It is comprised of water, sand, algae, and steam. It often incorporates extant marine life forms into its mass. These do not appear to be harmed by their absorption into 4568-2, although they exhibit some degree of usually beneficial mutation after exposure. Marine life forms have proven themselves capable of extricating and reincorporating themselves into 4568-2's mass at any time. 4568-2 is actively hostile to human life, having repeatedly expressed an intention to eradicate humanity. 4568-2 claims that its goal is to stop a great calamity that will result in the destruction of nature and the consequent elimination of all life on Earth. While at first this was thought to refer to some sort of ecological disaster, further statements by SCP-4568-2 now suggest that this would be a tangential after effect of a MK-class end of human consciousness scenario of undetermined origin. 4568-2 is capable of using resonance effects and vibrations to force water and other fluids to take on specific shapes. It employs this technique to maintain its own shape during its active periods and to cause massive tidal waves and anomalous oceanic activity. The seismic activity induced by 4568-1 disrupts these abilities, making SCP-4568-2 unable to maintain a consistent form out of water and forcing it into periods of dormancy. Council, based on the assumption that SCP-4568 is a sapient entity and is actively hostile towards humankind, I, on behalf of my research team, posit that 4568 should be temporarily neutralized. Temporarily? Why not just kill it? Or better yet, contain the entity in order to study it? It is simply too large for any current technology to kill or contain. The logistics to do so would be a nightmare. Plus, I get the feeling it's not doing it out of malice. Doctor, you are a scientist. Unless you can back up your feelings with facts, I say that a permanent solution is required. We have to put an end to this menace. The rest of the council all nodded in agreement. Very well then, if we are to go down that route, my team and I have come up with a solution that may work against 4568. Let's hear it, Doctor. We will inject a hostile memetic agent via a payload. That's our best bet. May God see us through this. The operation began as planned. While the memetic injection failed to fully neutralize the entity, it succeeded in temporarily incapacitating it. A research base was set up around the unconscious entity to monitor its activity. 8 hours later, a tremor began to shake the earth. Deep rumbling sounds penetrated through the base's thick shield walls and shook Foundation personnel to their core. The entity had regained consciousness. All stations stand by. Get ready to fire. Wait, hold. The doctor and his team monitored their instruments as the entity remained in place. Over the following hours, it initiated a series of small but continuous tremors following a specific pattern. These tremors have a deliberate feel to them. Just like before. It's like Morse code. Morse code? That's ridiculous. Get the linguist and cryptologist. If it is trying to communicate with us, we need to figure out its message. And surely enough, a message was deciphered from the series of tremors and was translated.
Humans of Foundation, are you truly the protectors of Earth and balance? If so, allow me to complete my mission. Horror lies deep in the sea, fueled by fear and twisted righteousness. What I do is the only way to stop it. I regret the loss of life due to my actions every day, but to not take action would lead to 10 times as many deaths.
In the sea? Is there another such entity? If the message is true, it sounds like it's trying to prevent something terrible. But what? While the debate regarding the interpretation of the message was still ongoing, Foundation personnel received automated alerts of significant anomalous oceanic activity along the Pacific coast. Deep sea sonar was deployed, and a massive serpentine entity provisionally designated SCP-4568-2, apparently composed of water and unidentified biological material, was detected. It emerged near Chile, causing a large-scale disruption in oceanic patterns. Council? If we let this go on, it will result in more devastating tsunamis that will wash over coastal settlements all along the Pacific. Millions of lives will be lost. But what if 4568 is our only chance? In its message, it talked about fighting against a certain terror in the sea. And now the threat has showed itself. Surely it would be wise to ally with 4568 against the sea serpent. Can the memetic payload be used against it again? That's the best shot we have. This time, we'll use it against both of them. However, this time, both serpents resisted Foundation's attempt. Another series of tremors were registered, from which the following message as deciphered.
I am very, very sorry. This is the only way.
The Earth Serpent shook its body once again, sending great waves through the earth and water, disrupting the Sea Serpent's form and thus preventing it from taking shape and causing mass destruction. The Sea Serpent's roar dissipated with the waves as it returned to dormancy. Though the Sea Serpent was stopped, a magnitude 8 earthquake was caused by the Earth Serpent's action, tearing apart coastal Chile. Again, human lives were lost. What do we do? The Sea Serpent was quelled by Earth Serpent, but at what cost? They're just fighting each other, while humans perish. The Earth Serpent claimed to be fighting against the evil Sea Serpent to prevent the destruction of mankind. But what if it all leads to the same outcome? Can we really trust it? The doctor was devastated by the loss of life. He despaired at man's powerlessness in the struggle against two rival titans. He walked out towards the broken earth, where he caught a glimpse of the Earth Serpent's great body deep underground, pulsating steadily. Earth Serpent, I don't know if you can hear or understand me, but if you are truly on our side, please give us a sign. We must stop this needless sacrifice of lives. If what you told us is true, we must work together. Moments later, the earth beneath his feet shook, and the Foundation's interpreters sprang into action.
Foundation, I know you cannot trust me, much less while you are still mourning your dead. I know what I did, just as I know the extremes you are willing to go to protect your kin. Yet we will never be equals, even though we share the same goals. You know, my brother, whom you call the Sea Serpent, also believes his duty to be of protection. There is a threat hiding beyond the stars, something incomprehensible, even to us. The human mind is a burning beacon in a sea of darkness. Would extinguishing it divert the attention of this threat? My brother seems to believe so. But I wonder, would it be worth it in the end?
Dr. Vasquez was elated that he could communicate with the Earth Serpent and was excited by the possibility of cooperation. Of course it's worth it. The threat that you speak of will not stop at humanity. Soon they will come for you and your brother. And if we're gonna stop this threat, we need him. We need the Sea Serpent's power. Dr. Vasquez and his team waited, but the Earth Serpent did not answer. Days later, another set of tremors were detected. However, these did not originate from the Earth Serpent, but from the sea.
Humans, I'm sure you can see it. How your world dies a little bit more every day, mostly by your own hand, no? You poison the oceans, taint the rivers, blacken the skies. You do not need angels of death to end your world. But there is something else. I see it in the bottom of your eyes. Something unforgettable. Inconceivable ideas cloaked in madness and impossible colors. Do you think I will let you drag the rest of the world down with you? Do you think I will leave this world, my world, to die in flames?
It's the Sea Serpent! Whoa! The earth trembled as the Earth Serpent spoke once more.
My brother, do you really think this death will solve it all? I can see the threat too. It hurts to think about it. I see it everywhere. The pressure, the suffocation, the dangers from beyond the stars. I know what will happen when it descends, and yet I think you are misguided. An idea exists only because some living thing was able to think of it. Have you even considered how such terrible concepts could have been given form? What if you were playing into the creature's hands? Why should I believe you? Why should I believe that such words come from anything but sheer cowardice? You know we have to do it. You protect the land, I protect the seas, and we both know what the enemy is. Yet here you are, protecting mankind, even though they will be the gateway for the ones who threaten us. Foundation, do you want to know why I am protecting humanity? Wouldn't it be easier to just let go? And maybe letting my brother do what he wants will really stop the threat approaching our world, an easy exit. But that is something I like about you, about mankind. However tempting it is to take the simplest path, to just give up, there will always be some among you who refuse this path. There will always be someone who stands up against the dark, even if it takes 1,000 million years to emerge victorious. I will save this world, humans. You won't be able to stop me. This is the only way. And I will do the same, brother. I will protect humanity against the threat. And you.
Following that exchange, the Foundation decided to allow the Earth Serpent's activity to go on unimpeded, and containment proposals are to focus on mitigation procedures, as this was viewed as the only way to prevent further losses. As for the threat from beyond the stars, its nature is yet to be determined. Engulfed in the dark waters, the great serpentine feels the rush of the sea once more. It feels the vibration, its brethren shake it, as if telling it to leave. But where could they go in this dark environment? It matters not, for it has found its prey. Forged in ancient magma, the shell of the destroyer glows and burns brightly. It breaks free from the ground which had held it for millennia to walk the earth once more, leaving fire and brimstone in its wake. Her memory is hazy, but she remembers how she had died and was brought back to this world by her devout followers, and of course, her violent skirmishes with the serpent. Dredged from the grave and thrown into the land of the living once again, the queen of the monsters let out a cry that echoes through the ages. Beyond the great deeps, the behemoths hear the call. They stir and rouse, a kingdom of swarming beasts. Dozens of them, all powerful and mighty, awaken from their deep slumber. In the embrace of the abyss, the serpent grows restless. The old battle will repeat itself, as it had in the past. Will this be the one that finally ends this vicious cycle? Though weary and tired of the violence, still it sharpens its fangs and readies to face its old nemesis once more. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Esoteric Class Object SCP-5391. SCP-5391, also known as Anastasis, is an anomalous event. It refers to the awakening of Large Scale Aggressors, or LSA, following the revival of LSA Brazil-01. These LSAs are collectively referred to as SCP-5391-1 in addition to their individual designations. In 1998, Foundation agents successfully detained and captured POI-2889, Stanislav Nikolev, a former scientist and director of Prometheus Lab, which operated the Anastasis project, the revival of LSA Brazil-01. Brazil-01, dubbed the Queen of the Monsters, is a massive entity with the head of a crocodile and tentacles for its lower body. It was once considered neutralized, but was revived by Prometheus Lab. As a result, it is currently outfitted with large amounts of paratechnical components that further accentuate its abilities, most notably its regenerative prowess. Nikolev sat in Site-40's interrogation room. The television in the corner was showing news footage of the destruction caused by LSA Stromboli-08. He smirked the entire time as he watched the footage play. Stromboli-08 is an armored ankylosaurian entity. Its anomalously hard shell plating features numerous broad spines that end in a narrow point. The seams between these plates have a scintillating red glow, similar to that of molten rocks. Buried beneath the volcanic Stromboli Island, the armored behemoth burst through the earth, causing the island volcano to erupt. The island was engulfed in magma, and its complete destruction soon followed. Footage showed fighter jets engaging the beast, but were shot down by magma expelled from Stromboli-08's body. The head researcher of 5391, Dr. Mikasa Kaori, entered the room. She turned off the TV and sat down in front of Nikolev. Before she began introducing herself, she noticed Nikolev looking at her. He smiled wryly and glanced briefly at the people outside the room, then back to Dr. Kaori. "I know what you're thinking, and what you want to know, Dr. Kaori. It's just simply this. I believe the downfall of humanity is that those in power tend to believe themselves to be gods. Why do I believe this? Because I was one of those idiotic fools who thought they belonged to the pantheon of divine beings. The Anastasis project was nothing more than a need for us to fulfill a self-proclaimed prophecy, to prove that we were above even Mother Nature herself. We succeeded in reviving that gargantuan creature. Of course, with a few adjustments of our own to improve upon its natural design. After all, we had the power to do so, and we thought, why should we not? And that brilliant question has brought us to this. So, what was the price for our actions? The lives of everyone at the Prometheus labs. It was nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's quite a fitting name, wouldn't you say? For it was Prometheus who brought the gift of fire to humanity from the gods. We too brought a gift. We have revived a creature capable of threatening the existence of mankind, and man has controlled and ruined Earth for far too long. Right now, this world is being returned to its rightful masters, and I'm proud to admit that I have been an integral part of it. Just then, a message came through the speaker. Dr. Kaori, we've detected an LSA not far from the facility. It's about to collide with a civilian vessel. Mobilizing all forces now. Fighting them is hopeless, Dr. Kaori. Just accept your fate. Wake 02 surfaced in the Pacific Ocean, about 12 kilometers west of Site 40. The serpentine behemoth approached a fishing vessel and struck. It lunged through the vessel and obliterated it instantly, resulting in multiple casualties on board. The Foundation's forces arrived at the scene half an hour later with several helicopters, 2 armed vessels, and the High Energy Concentration Orbital Railgun, or HECOR, primed and ready in orbit. MTF-H5 deployed from Dimensional Site 172 and engaged Wake 02. They attempted to use a binding field to put Wake 02 into stasis, but failed, as Wake 02 emitted a small-scale EMP that rendered the device useless. Back in the control room, Dr. Kaori redirected efforts to evacuate civilians among the wreckage. The survivors were scrambling to board a helicopter. Wake 02 noticed and opened its mouth, shooting out a second head at the helicopter and demolished it. Dr. Kaori ordered the anti-thaumatological cannons to fire. They successfully pierced through Wake 02 and damaged it to a considerable degree. The serpentine behemoth let out a shriek of rage and lunged towards the helicopters, destroying the cannons. Dr. Kaori then called for the deployment of Thor. It took out a large chunk of Wake-02. The serpentine behemoth appeared to have been neutralized. But before Dr. Kaori and her team could celebrate, Wake-02 began to rapidly regenerate from all the damage it sustained. It shrieked towards the sky, as if taunting them for their futile efforts. Damn it! Dr. Kaori slammed her fist on the desk. Left with no other options, she ordered a full-scale retreat. Wake-02 disappeared beneath the waves soon after. The next day, Dr. Kaori arranged for a meeting with Site Director Simmons. 2 days ago, something happened in Paraguay. An entire Foundation expedition team was killed. There are ruins there. Labyrinthine cave systems filled with remnants of an ancient civilization you've never even heard of. The higher-ups are starting to put the pieces together about why this is happening, what these things are, and what's about to come. But if you ask me, these don't even come close enough to giving us a solution. I trust that you have something else in mind, Doctor? Dr. Kaori nodded. She took out a blueprint from her folder and handed it to him. Simmons looked at it and smiled. All right, I see. He pushed past the door and addressed everyone in the room. All right, fellas, stop whatever you're doing and listen. Lately, these big, ugly monsters have been kicking our butts. They did us dirty and got us by surprise. They've killed countless innocent lives, but no more. Now, we will fight back. We will show these monsters no mercy. We will have a monster of our own, because this is our monster. So let's build a giant freaking mech. Meanwhile, in the Wanderer's library, the last 1,000 steps finally came to a stop at the bottom of the ravine. Samuel sat down in exhaustion, then looked up into the abyss of the library. No, this is no time to rest, he thought. I need to keep moving. He gripped his lantern tighter and stood back up. Suddenly, a voice spoke to Samuel from the shadows ahead. Hello? He raised his lantern and took a few cautious steps forward. Soon, an old man appeared in front of him. Apologies if I don't look presentable. I don't get out much. Where are you headed, young man? Oh, I'm looking for the history of Behemoths section. The old man's eyes widened. As he moved to stroke his chin, Samuel noticed the serpent's hand tattoo on his forearm. Ah, I know of the way. Follow me. They arrived at the end of the maze. It was an open area with no bookshelves in sight, only torn papers and scraps of wood covering the floor. Then, an expression of dread crossed the old man's face. Before they could react, the library shook. The floor beneath them collapsed, swallowing them into the void. They fell and fell and fell. Samuel gasped and opened his eyes. He was back at the same spot he had just been standing, but the old man was gone. He began sprinting forward with the lantern in hand. After a while, he reached the bookshelves again. But this time, a massive silverfish about 2 stories tall came out of nowhere and swallowed an entire bookshelf. Samuel lost his balance and fell on the ground, catching the silverfish's attention. It charged forward, its legs violently pounding on the floor. Completely taken over by fear, Samuel froze like a deer in headlights. In a flash, something massive charged into the silverfish and crashed into the other bookshelves. Sounds of flesh being ripped apart followed, then gradually died down. Samuel crept forward and saw the serpent. Its jaws clamped onto the now lifeless silverfish before tearing it apart. Then the serpent reached into its stomach with its reptilian tongue, pulling out a mucus-covered book and flung it into Samuel's arms. Hands shaking, Samuel wiped the mucus off and saw the title, Extinction of Behemoths. For a moment, he was speechless. Samuel looked up and met the serpent's eyes. I can sense them. They have returned. Then I must go deal with them once again. The serpent flapped its plumage and ascended into the darkness above. Then all was quiet. The Foundation had found evidence of LSAs roaming the Earth far before our times, but they never found out how they had all disappeared. That was why Samuel was sent to the library, to find a way to defeat the newly arisen LSAs once more. He reached up, hands still shaking, and turned on his radio. Samuel now knew what had happened without even having to read the book. The serpent had killed them all, and it will do so again. Remember to check out my new animation channel, TheRubber Talks, where I share my life story, thoughts, and opinions. Just click on the link in the description to enter TheRubber's world. Before we end this video, we are proud to present these incredibly sweet pieces of fan art. A big thank you to all of you. You can now send us your fan art, and we will be more than happy to show off your best art piece in our next video. Check out our description below on how to submit. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Which SCP do you want to see in the next video, and why it is interesting? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your friends if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.